So I'm here back in California, helping my dad, and I feel like I was just here, but it's been 4 months since I've been here. The last 4 months, or the last time I was here for 4 months. So I've been in California for 4 months, came back home for 4 months, and now I'm back in California. So I have been through emotional roller coaster whenever I come back because of taking care of taking care of your parents is when they get to a certain state, it's emotional. And for those who I don't know what it feels to lose a parent, but I certainly know how it feels to take care of a parent. Luckily, I don't have young babies or young kids at home. They're pretty self-sufficient. So I'm at home. Yeah, I'm gone for the holidays for the first time, but I feel kind of blessed because I'm here with my dad for the holidays, my parents actually for the holidays because it's been a long time since I've had holidays with them.
Um, I think my mom's situation is a little bit different. So not because she's the healthiest. I think she's 73 now, the healthiest 73-year-old. It's just because her was a story of shelter. So basically, it wasn't all from my dad's doing. It was a lot of what they decided to do as a couple. I guess the best way to put it. Um, what I always tell, friends, clients, or whatever, is that financially, in most relationships, one might make the decisions or be the more financial literacy one, pay the bills, whatever it might be, or understand what's going on with the bills or the income and everything. But I think it's one of those things where the other spouse needs to know about it. Um, needs to be involved in some particular way and understand it, because if the spouse that's doing all the finances goes down first, where does that leave the other spouse? So my mom's a little different. Way that's the reason why she lives with us. Not because she can't take care of herself physically, not because I have to like bring a change of clothes for her or a cane. Is because mentally, her whole adult life, she didn't really experience a true adult life, paying bills, understanding how it works and stuff like that. So when my dad went down, she didn't know what to do. She had no clue. The average, like how to refinance works, how to sell a house, how to buy a house, even though they bought a house and refinance and all that. A car, even though a car was in her name. She didn't understand the basics. She worked for the post office. I mean, she could work and stuff, but she didn't. I guess the best way to do it, she didn't understand the value of a dollar, which no one does anymore because it keeps on going down. But like if you try to talk to her about inflation or bills or stuff like that, she'll pretend she understands, but she really has no clue what you're talking about. So it's a little bit different. So your circumstance is all about your dad
Mhm.
physically, mentally going down. You have to realize you might go down. I mean, I know we live in this world where we feel like we're going to live forever, right? Until that day hits that we get sick or we mentally check out for whatever reason. We get in an accident, we hurt ourselves dramatically, or a sickness, or illness takes us. And it's not always death, right? It could take us mentally where we're not seeing things as sharp as we used to. And then you could talk about the reasons for that. That could be a whole series of broadcasts or videos or whatever you want to call it, what you believe. But the notion is that when your kids become adult kids and you're relying on them and or the government, which is scary because a lot of people don't trust the government, but it seems like when they go down, they want the government to help, which to me makes no sense. But so you're really relying on your kids and your loved ones. but you're not giving them any information. I mean, you're not even giving them like a book or something where you wrote everything down and say, open this in case I mentally can't take care of myself anymore. So you know exactly what's going on, what my thought process was. I mean, there's nothing. So a lot of families are trying to figure stuff out. And I think that was so called with when my dad went down, when he got sick and passed away, is that we thought he had his finances together, and we found out he really didn't. So, and of course, what I talked about my mom earlier, it was hard. It was a struggle. It was a class itself, a big learning experience. So, if anyone listening to this and relating to it, what I would say to you is you got to, if you do care about your family. Now, if you don't care about your family, don't do nothing. I'm not talking to you. But if you care about your family, put something. I mean, you don't have to talk about it every day over dinner, but you could sit down and say, "Hey, here, I don't want to go over my finances, or maybe you do. Everyone's different, but at least have something written down. If anything happens to me, or I get in a car accident or anything like that, or whatever, this is where you get it and this is where you open up. So that way you guys can, exactly what's going to happen next, what I have, what I don't have, what I want to happen for me, what I don't want to happen for me. So that's probably what I learned from both of our experience is that if you really care for your family, you would have a talk with them, if not, at least something written down where they know where to go.
Absolutely. And also, you know, I feel like my dad is pretty lucky to have my sister and I, because my sister's already retired from, she doesn't have a regular typical 8 to 5 job, and neither do I. So I'm able to be flexible, um, to come out here whenever he needs me, whenever the family needs me. So, I mean, that's, you know, having your own business, working online, that's like a big plus too. I know it's different for everybody, but I would say this, um, once James and I get to the age where my parents are right now, I wouldn't want to put a burden on our kids. And especially if we're terminal and we know we're terminal, I we have our life insurance in place. I remember when your dad went down for the first time and we had to move closer to your mom's work to take her to work because she couldn't drive. Like we had to uproot our family from where we were. And it was, it was doing things, working around her schedule, planning our vacations around her schedule, dealing with her insurance company. It was another job, just making phone calls, and that's the way it is here. My sister does most of that, but it's like takes a lot of time out of your family's life. So I hope people can just just pay attention to what you have in place for your kids, because eventually you're gonna be there where my parents are, and we're gonna be there where my parents are. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I don't know. I'm still learning, and I'm sure there's more to come, but
And what I believe in, and it's not what most people believe in, but I don't believe that kids are supposed to take care of their parents. I mean, help them out and stuff like that. I think it's supposed to go, we're supposed to take care of our kids. And then when our kids get old enough, they have kids, they're supposed to take care of their kids. And I'm not saying like financially throughout their whole life and do everything, but I don't think um, someone in their 40s or 50s or even 30s sometimes, maybe even younger, has to stop everything they have to do. So, do you want to be one of those parents that you're in that situation and then now your kids have to drop everything they can and life way it is right now is already hard as it is. I mean, you have to think about it. It's
absolutely.
whether you believe it or not. the economic and life is different. We talk to our kids about how, because we grew up in the 90s, and some stuff is just different. Technology is different. Way people look at life is different than it was in the 90s, early 2000s, late 80s. But some you could say it's better, good, it doesn't matter. But and then the cost of living now is outrageous compared to what your
Mhm.
average wage is right now. So it's a lot harder for families to stop what they're doing financially. This is just financially. This is not the emotion that goes involved and everything else. And the reason why I'm like that is because I hear people, well, the government's supposed to take care of me. And how's that working out? It's not. So you trust the government? Never. But they're supposed to take care of me. It doesn't make sense. What did Ronald Reagan said? President Ronald Reagan is the he said the worst thing you could ever hear is I'm the government and I'm here to help you. So regardless of what you believe in, is that the government's not here to help you. So if you're always counting on the government, I hear people say, "Well, I'm a veteran." Great, so am I. Well, the VA is going to do this. Well, you hear them talking right now, taking benefits away. But that's you have to find a way to set yourself up for success, and you have to be willing to take risk. And sometimes you're going to make the wrong decision financially, but you just have to get back up and figure it out. And a lot of times, I see a lot of people make great, decisions, but they don't share it with their family. I don't know what it is. It's like a secret. Why won't you share that with your family? Why won't you let your family know about where you're at? So if something happens, I just don't understand that.
From the VA. So they're so quick to take away my dad's independence as far as managing his own money. Yes. What's interesting is they do a background check on that person to take over your finances, make sure that they have good credit, make sure that they pay their bills on time so they don't take advantage of the veteran. There are stories out there too that children or somebody else that's taking over their finances will take advantage of them and take advantage of the parents. There's stories out there. So yeah, they're pretty cautious about that.
Well, this is the problem with I have with that. I think that's a terrible idea. The reason is I'm the government and I'm here to help you. It doesn't happen. So you're telling me the VA is going to decide that your dad's not competent enough to take care of his own bills. Okay. You get involved and then he goes, "Well, I want my son to take care of it." Sorry, your son's only 18. He doesn't pass the background check. So now, let's say you don't pass the background check because your debt income ratio is too high. And say your sister doesn't pass the background check because their debt income ratio is high. Say no one in the family passes the background check because their debt income ratio is too high, or whatever excuse they give. Oh, you don't have enough debt. You don't have no credit. They look down on people that don't. They pay everything in cash. We're gonna appoint somebody for you. That's what I see happening in most cases. We're gonna appoint someone for you. It's kind of like, or they do say, okay, Monique, you pass the background, but we're gonna have someone come every month or every 2 months to check up on you. And if we don't like what we see, we're gonna take over. What do you think the chances are they're gonna take over? I think it's pretty good. Look, what I'm gonna say is anything that the government gets involved in, it becomes a disaster. Look at Social Security. Talk to any person about Social Security, and they're like, the government totally took that and took advantage of the situation. I don't know what they did with the money. That's all like you can argue that, but the Social Security system is not in place to do what it's supposed to do. Okay. People are paying money in their whole lives into the system and they're getting a stupid $1,200 check every month. I mean, unless you live out in the country and nowhere, you can't find a place for 1,200 bucks. You can't live off 1,200 bucks almost anywhere in the United States. So, well, and you can argue, well, Social Security wasn't supposed to be for full retirement, it's supposed to be a supplement retirement. Okay. But you force people to pay into that. So they took over Social Security. They destroyed that. The VA is another one. I'm a veteran. I don't even like going to the VA hospital. Last time I went there, they almost killed me. I'm not even exaggerating. So I don't want to go there. They play games. It's just it's not a good situation. Now, other people might have great experience at VA, might get that one doctor or that nurse or that person that actually cares. But most of them are just government workers. They just want their 50, $70,000 a year and that's it and go home. Okay. Another thing, I mean, just naming it DMV in all states, the DMV is like a headache, right? So that's government run. Schools are government run. And now, they're having problems with the education system. Well, it's always been a problem, but it's coming out more of the problem. And now people are trying to go homeschool, but now the government's like, hey, too many people are going homeschool. We're losing money. Like state governments are getting. So everything the government touches turns to shit. So no, I would probably, honestly, this is your dad, this is your situation. I would stop taking him to VA. If you have an organization that says, hey, I'm going to do a psychological test on you, if you don't pass, we're going to decide, well, you could decide, but we're going to decide with you or for you on who's
I
going to
don't
take
know
a.
how he got into that program or who suggested that, but that's that's just something that somebody can like whoever is with the VA just know that that's a possibility.
I'm saying if
So
anyone actually listens to this video, I'd say stay away from the VA or any government entity that says, hi, I'm the government and I'm here to help you. It might look good on the outside, it might seem okay, but they're not there to help you. I mean, there's videos, documentaries. I mean, I forgot his name, but he did a really good documentary on CPS, how they were taking kids out of loving homes and it was just destroying families just because they want to get their vaccine shots. And that's another touchy subject where a lot of people are saying the vaccine shots are bad. But hey, if you didn't get your kid, that's another thing about doctors and the government. Parents are taking their kids to the doctors and they say, hey, we don't want to get the shots. We want to do research. But I'm a doctor. I wear a white coat. You got to listen to me. And then they're calling CPS on these parents. I mean, it's just, that's my main thing. Um, I wouldn't trust anybody that's from the government. You, as family members, you got to take care of each other. I mean, and it doesn't always have to be family members. Sometimes you have a friend that you trust more than family. That's fine, but you have to. I believe we're always been at a time like this, but I think it's coming out more that you can't keep everything to yourself when it comes to this stuff because when you go down, it's going to be a lot harder for people to pick up the torch. And then they're going to have to count on government stuff and everything or other people that probably they shouldn't be counting on. And then they're susceptible to scams and stuff like that. Plus, you have to think about it. I'll just end with this is that, you mentioned earlier, and it's a good point, like sometimes family member friends that get in charge of the finances, they take advantage, right? They take the money to pay the bills or whatever it is. And you hear stories of that. I think a lot of that happens is because, like I said before, people are not planning ahead. So, like, we have four kids amongst ourselves. So if we sit down and we start talking about this stuff, we're gonna know which kid is, not gonna take advantage of the situation. We're gonna figure out, they're gonna get married. We're gonna meet their husband or wife. We're gonna figure out, okay, all right, I see. I'm just gonna use an example. I see Isaac's married to her. They have good shoulders. Or, I think he should be. You know what I mean? Or equally, or if something happens to us, hey Isaac, this is what I want you to do. This is my plan right here. I think you'll get more of an idea. But if you never talk with your family members or your friends or people that you trust and love, I don't think you're ever gonna get that feedback on who you should trust and love. You're just gonna guess, but you don't know how they're doing financially or how they think or how they feel. I think making a decision and I know I'm going on, but that's another thing is what I found out is like most families don't sit down with their kids, even at a young age, and explain to them, hey, if anything happens to me or mom or both of us, this is what we have planned out right now. Of course, it's going to change when you get older, but this is what we have planned out for you right now. So that way they can give their feel, okay, I'm going to go with grandma, mom, pa, or whatever it might be, whoever they call it. But as they get older, because right now all our kids are adults except one, right? Jane Land's going to be 17 in February. So in a year, actually a year and 2 months, in 14 months, we have all adult kids. So that changes everything. planning and everything, because now if something happens to both of us, they're not going. We don't have to worry about anyone going living with another, if that makes sense. So I think that's why we recommend is giving a plan. The plan's going to change because your kids are going to get older. Like our plan changed when Priscilla turned 18, because when we were like, hey, Priscilla, if anything happens to us, to say you're going to take care of Jalen. This is how much money you're going to get. This is what's going to go to Isaac. This is what's going to go to Lana, and so forth. Or Isaac, if anything happens to us, can you come and help Priscilla? You know, and so forth. So that way they have an idea, and we're not leaving them stranded with no money, no way out. And so that's, I think that, and like I said before, it changes as your kids get older, or your situation changes as things changes. I think our lives are kind of like, if you follow any kind of stock market or gold or price of rent or houses or anything, our lives are like that. It changes. What's good today, what's a good plan today might not be a good plan 5 years ago, because where the economy's doing, what you're doing, and so forth. So that's how I feel about it, all this situation with parents and taking care of parents. And if you got your finances in order, and everyone has an idea what they could do and what they can't, it stops fighting amongst family members more. You have less fighting because they know their role and what they have to do. They know their wishes of their parents because they've been taught their whole life. Um, and the whole goal is to see if anyone can relate, to help each other, because you might have an idea that we're not thinking about that will help her situation, or anyone's situation out there with dealing with parents and everything.